Alright everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we have a semi-float Sterling 10 1/4 rear axle. This is that matching axle out of that 89 F250 LD that our Dana 44 HD came out of. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out, it'll be linked. This was Ford's replacement for the Dana 60/Dana 70 axle that they started using way back when. It's of course a Sterling 10 1/4. We know this because it has 12. Well, this one has 11, but it would have had 12 versus a Dana having 10. And we know it's a semi-float, obviously, because there's no big hub sticking out of the center there. So again, this axle was in service up until the owner did a 1-ton axle swap. So he would have pulled this to put in a full floater version. It's my understanding the brakes are not the same between the two. However, the center section is interchangeable. Of course, that's taking into account the long versus short pinion style of the Sterling family. So if you're going to swap one of these axles in or go vice versa, if you're taking this axle out to put a full floater model in, you'd want to make sure that the model you're putting in is the same pinion or has the same pinion stick out as the axle you're pulling out. So on a semi-float axle, if you were to do a brake job, obviously you'd jack your truck up on as level ground as possible, put wheel chocks under it, and you'd remove your wheel, and then your drum will slide off. So now, semi-float versus full float. On a full float axle, you'd have the spindle that sticks out, that's part of the housing, and your hub has wheel bearings inside of it that ride on that spindle. This, as a semi-float, so its bearing is right in behind that seal there. We're gonna do things a little differently this time. And we're gonna get right into our carrier. So we have a 1/2 inch for our diff cover bolts. Because this axle is a semi-float, it has a lower GVW than the full floater. All right, so we're gonna crack our diff cover. Silicone and a gasket. This looks like it's been done recently. So I'll tip the axle forward to drain some fluid out. Now, like I said, this axle was in use up until it was pulled for the 1-ton swap. So it was likely maintained. So I doubt we're gonna have anything in a nasty condition. Okay, let's pull our center pin out. So this right here is the center pin. We have to remove that so that we can push our axles in to get our C-clip off. You can see I'm wiggling the axle shaft in and out. And we can see right here that it's moving because it's the same thing. So we're gonna pull that axle pin out, or rather that center pin out, which is looking like a 10 mil. Let's move our pan here. Last thing I want to do is have to go fishing for this bolt. Oh, nice. That's broken. All right. Well, that just made our life a little more complicated. I'm going to figure this out and I'll come back. Okay, everybody. I ended up getting the pin out. I chose a method that was pretty destructive. It's not something that I condone someone doing for their own personal axle, but in this case, I did it for the sake of a video. So I removed the last bit of the bolt. I slid our pin out, and now what we're looking at is the back side of our axles and our C-clips. So you're going to see, I'm going to push our axle in, just like that. Now we can get in here and pull out our C-clip, like that. And it's at this point now where our axle can slide back out the other way. Before I do, I'm gonna pull this one. Happens the exact same way. I'll just slide that one down in. There we go. Now both our axles can come out. So we'll slide out our axle here. Pull our passenger axle out. So now at this point, we can get a better look at our brakes. We have springs here and here. You can get this out of the way. So this is what's left of our e-brake cable. This head, when you're installing this, you'll pull it through your backing plate and you'll slide it into the hole, just like that. To remove it's obviously the same. So there's a little better look at everything here. Here's our adjuster at the bottom. Here's our bottom spring that holds the two bottom halves of the shoes together. This is our adjuster down here, and this is under spring tension to help our adjuster ratchet and to keep it in place. Up here is our wheel cylinder, which has brake fluid coming in from the back and expands, and that's what pushes our drums outwards. I can't do it right now, but there, with a little bit of leverage. So this is the exact same action here from our e-brake cable as the wheel cylinder itself. So when the wheel cylinder is filled with fluid and pushes top of the shoes out just like that. So we're gonna start by getting our upper and lower springs off. I like to cheat. I like to use vice grips and unhook it just like that. And you can unhook the other side in the same action. We're then going to do the exact same thing for our bottom. There we are. And of course our retainer springs, which are a little thicker. Ooh. So let's pretend that didn't just slide out. So that sits in there like this. If you wanted to, we could have left our upper and lower spring in and just removed our two backing plate springs. And we could have undone this cable here for our ratcheting mechanism. And we could have slid this whole thing off as kind of an assembly. Maybe I'll show that on the other one. We'll see. But with our mounting springs off, everything kind of falls apart, which is nice. We can pull off one shoe, which we can see is kind of grooved up. So there must have been something in that drum. We'll get our other spring off. That was a little more controlled than our last one. And I'm just unhooking that adjuster. We can pull out from the back side our hold downs. And then we're left with the e-brake arm and the rest of our cable. These are those little pistons that the wheel cylinder forces out. Back in here on the backing plate, there looks to be a 1/2-inch bolt, or nut rather. So with that 7/16 nut off the back side, just like that. There's a neat little sub-assembly, little stack. Here's the opposite end of our adjuster there. Slides onto the bolt behind this washer. So now we're left with a wheel cylinder and the 4 bolts for our backing plate. So we'll grab our 1/2-inch. Pull out our 2 bolts. And then since it's likely never been changed, we'll give it some taps. Out that guy comes. Now with those 4 bolts out, we can pull off our backing plate, which is still in great shape. And on this side, we now almost have a completely stripped housing. So now would be a great time to mention that on our full floating axle, this is where that spindle comes out. And it is a machined surface that allows for 2 bearings to slide onto and a nut at the end to retain it. The axle comes through the spindle and bolts on the back side of the hub, and then bolts to the front of the hub. So now I'm going to pull this seal out. And launch fluid everywhere, but that's all right. So there is our wheel bearing. Okay, now we're on the driver's side and we're going to continue on. First thing I noticed is the axle was rubbing on this and our spring here, so that's no good. You definitely can't have that. So we'll get our cable off. There's 1 mounting spring. Okay. So now we can grab our top of our springs, or sorry, grab the top of our shoes. And we can pull off our shoes as one assembly. So we'll set that aside. Now what that means obviously is that you can set that up on a bench, bring it over here and install it on the truck. Let's get our 7/16 nut off the back here. There we go. Tap that out. Hey. Now all our braking stuff is out of the way. There we are. Yeah, this last one here was a bit of a fight, but we ended up getting it. Okay. Let's unbolt our bearings. And we'll get our crowbar in here. We'll pry our carrier out. Ooh. So let's get our ring gear off now. Sometimes those ring gears are tight in there. You probably saw me rock it there. Just broke it loose. You might have to tap it with a mallet. All right, now all we have left is our pinion. All right, I'm just gently going to tap on our pinion. Out it goes. All right, let's grab that guy from the back side here. There we go. Now our gearing here is a 355. All right, let's clean up. All right, everyone. So here we have a disassembled Sterling 10 1/4 semi-float rear axle from a 1988 F250 LD. Firstly, I want to thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy this type of content, definitely stick around and give us a like and a subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and we post pretty regularly. On that note, I wanted to give a quick thank you to everyone who's shown their support and subscribed so far. We just hit 1,000 subscribers. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It really means a lot to me that many people enjoy what we're doing here. And here's to more growth, and here's to pumping out more cool projects for everyone to see and everyone to be involved with. Thank you very much once more for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.